welcome to our second episode of Talk with the Pros. I think the last one I hosted was, what was it, a week or two after the patch, when, there wasn't as much figured out. So I think a lot has happened since then, as I'm sure everyone would agree. So I think how I kind of want to start this off first is a discussion on the Siege rework real quick, or depending how long it takes. But I want to pretend the last patch hasn't happened yet, because I know that added a Springald buff and that kind of changed things a little bit. Also, I know Pro Scouts is probably wanting to be something we're going to talk about, but that'll be a bit later as well. So, what are your guys' thoughts so far on the Siege rework after having had 3 months, 2 months to play with it now? Still like it? Hate it? And who's the brave soul that wants to go first on this one?
Um,
That's Wham.
Anotand.
Nope,
Me?
you
Okay, let's go.
volunteered, Wham.
You can start one if you want.
I still think it's good for the game, right? Considering, it's the same stance I've had for a while now. I still think that Springald's countering Springald's was really, really bad for the game. And, obviously there's some growing pains with Siege in general. Um, honestly, I'm curious to see what other people think, but I just don't. I just think people want anti-siege because mangonels are so toxic, but if you have anti-siege, it just creates a dynamic of building a ton of siege because you're building siege to counter siege, and then you build siege to counter that siege. So it's just like you're just massing siege instead of trying to create a more dynamic way of playing the game. Um, so I still would hate going back to the old way of siege. So
Okay, and what about Anakin? Do you want to go second? So we'll let you go second, and then we'll get Beasty and
Okay,
Wham's
okay.
thoughts.
I mean, overall, I think that Siege change was good, but to be honest, I feel like, and I think not only me, I feel like we still have some problems. Like, Mangonel set imp with upgrades too strong, Nest of Beasts, oh my god, they're killing everything at Castle Edge. And I mean, for me, I feel like devs should be like more cautious and react a bit faster with it. Like, okay, we got massive patch, we turned like everything from upside to down, and now we still have some sharp stuff, yeah? What can I say? So yeah, overall it's good, but I still think we still not at the perfect balance with Siege, let me say that.
Well, I think we can all agree it's not perfectly balanced, whether you like the change
Yeah.
or not. I can't imagine anyone agreeing that it's in a perfect spot. Definitely one of the. I think we can agree on that. But let's go for UBC, and then we'll do Avely next, assuming Avely should be here.
Um, I think I think it just like gave us a different game, which is fine. Like it's obviously you went from like having to protect your siege because of Springals and then forces more Springals together with pro scouts. Like now the meta is more like cavalry based. So I think the meta as it is now is more active and it's more fun. I think the siege in general, like some of it doesn't make sense to me, like Bombard, Culverin, and then you have like Great Bombard and Cannon. Like they're all doing the same thing, which I find a bit weird. Like they're very small differences between them, but we have four basically types of Bombard, which is I don't know. I personally don't really get it. Like I get Culverin Bombard differences, but yeah. Um Regarding Mangonels, like I feel like they're pretty like they're nerfed in castle, and that's probably good because I think building one mangonel in castle and just defending the whole push was pretty bad. Mangonels in imperial are still like in my opinion too strong, but at the same time, I think a lot of it comes down to maps. The problems with siege, and they always did. So like, is mangonel a problem on Dry Arabia? Not so much in my opinion. But then is mangonel or Nestabe's problem on King of the Hill? It's like yeah, that's because of the map. So kind of how I feel about it.
Okay, and what about
But
you, Avely? And well, actually, before you go, Avely, is my mic better now? Is it louder? I guess for the chat.
It's perfect for me. Like to hear your voice.
It's good for me.
Okay. Yeah, it was on my webcam, Mike, so that's why chat was complaining. Okay. Sorry, Avely, your turn. Time to hear your beautiful voice.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I hope everyone else can. I don't know. I don't play as much as these guys, so I haven't. I've heard Springalds are really stupid now, but I don't like that you cannot counter Mangonel. I don't know. Like you run Horsemen in and they just don't reach, right? So maybe a bit of more range or torches back to reach Mangonels and Castle Edge would be nice. I think Imp doesn't matter. It's very similar. It's just that you don't camp with Springalds underneath keeps. But even in Imp before the patch, I felt the only thing that was broken in Imp is roller shutter triggers, because without it, you could just bombard Springles down and bombard Mangoes down and then push. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I guess the overall question is, Avely, do you like it? Or let's just answer this part. Do you like it, or do you prefer it pre-siege work? Rework.
I think it's good if there's some mix-up in the game. Kind of gets stale after a while. So I don't mind it.
Okay. So in general, it just kind of sounds like there's no big complaints about it, other than obviously, balancing not being perfect. So which brings us to, let's go to a more current topic that I think has been a discussion for the past while. And I know when I last did this podcast, this was not even really on the radar, and that's the Pro Scout meta. I've seen quite a few people complaining about it, and some not obviously enjoying it, some don't. So I'd like to see what you guys either hate or like about it, and then maybe if we should change it, how should it be changed, or if it should remain the way it is.
I'll go first because I have some. I mean, so let's start with what I like about Pro Scouts. I like that you fight for the map in the early game, right? So you're building units pretty much no matter what, unless I don't know. Even as Zeus, you would build units to defend your scouts, right? To get the Dira. So that's a good aspect of it. However, I think there are a lot of negatives about Pro Scouts, and I'm not saying that Pro Scouts shouldn't exist or whatever. And obviously, there's a lot of negatives about like second TC or fast cast meta or stuff like that. But I think the thing with Pro Scouts is that it's so good at the moment that you really don't have all the other options other than Pro Scouts. And there's a few reasons for that, and I think one of the biggest reasons is that if you do get the Dira, you're pretty much, if your opponent goes second TC, that is, you're pretty much automatically going to get the relics as well. Because if they go second TC and you go Pro Scouts and you get pretty much at least three Dira packs, even 2 Dira packs, your economy scales so much faster that second TC just can't catch up and get the relics. So once you get the Dira and once you get the relics, you just total if you want to against second TC. Because other than that, there's really no... Like, yeah, you fight for the sacred sites, but other than that, there's not a lot of objectives to get on the map. Once the relics are gone, that is. So my biggest complaint about Pro Scouts is that there's not a lot of viable options to kind of counteract them at this point. I mean, you can say so many things about strats in this game, right? None of these strats... I don't think, no matter how much you enjoy a strat, you don't want to be playing against this strat, you don't want to play against this strat every single game, right? I think you want to have variety in the game, and at the moment it's just like Pro Scouts is so dominant in that regard that you don't have a lot of variety. It's my take.
Okay. BC, you want to go, or Anotand or Avely? Which one of you wants to go next?
I don't mind going. I mean, I agree with that. Like, I think, we used to have 2TC, All In, and Castle Rush before. And there was always a point where one is just better, but it still felt like you can do the other two. Like, depending on the map and stuff. But now, like, Pro Scouts is very dominant. So I don't want Pro Scouts, like, nerfed to oblivion. I want the other strategies to be a bit better. Because, for me at least, the game has been, like, the most fun in a while. Because you're just all the times active. Like, I personally hated the times where it was English, Byzantine, Malian, and they're just sitting in base, like making buildings for 15 minutes, and then they come out and kill you. It's like, okay, like China 2TC with Barbican, like that. There's no, like, after experiencing this, I don't really want to go back to that necessarily. So I would like it to be an option, that you can go to TC, but yeah, I think going Pro Scouts every game is probably not the greatest thing for the game. But I will say I think the maps play a big role in all that. Like, just like the Siege, the maps play a big role. I think, having so many pro scouting maps, it's like, yeah, people are going to pro scout, Like, I'll give an extreme example, but you don't pro scout on Four Lakes, right? Because the focus is water. You pro scout on Baldland because there's so many deer. So of course you have to pro scout because the map is very open, and then you cannot go out so far from your base to get the food. So while I do think that either other strategies should be buffed a bit or pro scout slightly nerfed again, I do think that maps are pretty guilty for that as well.
Yeah, I think the maps are one of the issues as well. And maybe another issue, or maybe something that could be resolved potentially in the DLC would be more food types, right? If you have other food types that you can gather, maybe you won't care as much about gathering the deer. I don't know. But the maps, especially in the last tournament, were just like super heavy Pro Scout maps, like objectively.
I mean, I think even, like, let's say we have 5 open maps, right? And let's say 3 are great for pro scouts. 2 are so-so. On those 2 so-so, you can maybe go 2TC or Fast Castle. But if you took one of the maps, took out 2 deer packs, and put like another boar and another berry patch, already pro scout is just like, why would you pro scout? For what? For 2 deer packs? That's probably not worth. So I think sometimes, like, community can just take charge in these things and just put a berry patch, put another boar, and then every civ will have same amount of food without the deer being there. So you can do like small fixes until, devs actually do something about it.
Anotand, Avely, any thoughts?
Okay, to be honest, I really like Pro Scout meta. For me, it's just so like fresh. For now, like every fight feels important. In previous meta, you can just make like 5 spearmen, 5 longbowmen. You can just throw it off and like you kinda be still in game. Right now, you get even fight, you micro. If you just play a little worse, you losing like for like 2 or 3 spearmen and you like in trouble. And like I really like it in Pro Scout meta. And for now, we still kind of have variety. You can go Pro Scouts Fast Castle, you can go Pro Scouts All In, you can go like, some different options with Pro Scouts as well. But yeah, sadly, always Pro Scouting.
Yeah.
I still feel like Pro Scouting still need a bit of nerf. Like for me, the main problem of Pro Scouts versus non-Pro Scouting, like you just cannot defend your deer packs. And eventually, like in 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, your opponent will just steal it from you. For example, he just going into your face with the army, and you just cannot like let 5 spirit your deer pack. And eventually, you still losing your deer pack. That's like main reason. So maybe just nerf like movement speed of scouts a bit more. I think it will be enough. Another concern is about Pro Scouts that some civs had huge economic bonuses, like French getting Pro Scouts so freaking cheap. Rus can make scouts from cabin, you don't need stable. And China Jusi have taxes and freaking IO. Like, sure, you can play IB-based Pro Scouts, but I never heard someone complain. So also, it's not only map problem, it's also civ problem. And tournament, and at tournament, like we have a lot of bans, and it was not feel like we always playing Pro Scouts. But I can get people in ladder who like playing only versus China, Rus every game. So yeah, I feel like devs maybe need to not thinking about Pro Scouts, but also about like changing some civs slightly.
I feel called out, Anotand. I've been playing almost only Rus.
I mean, okay, it's good. Good civ. Play
Abuser, oh my God.
whatever you want. Okay,
I
that's
know.
my thoughts.
Well, I thought Rus, when I started playing it, I thought Rus was considered bad, but now they're like S tier, and I'm like, well, I'll figure it out, I guess. Avely, what about you?
I don't like how prevalent it is. I don't like any meta where people just sit under a TC with a lot of free food, be it pro scouts or early farming, anything like that. But I think what Beasty said is very correct, that all the maps are very, very similar with regards to food. So you got 2 deer packs on either side, and well, what's left of the base, the other right of the base, you surely will get some deer in, and then you just sit under your TC and maybe put a tower on your gold and can't really be attacked. So I don't really like that. And I hope the expansion will bring us some variegation in food in the maps. But it's also difficult because I've given it obviously a bit of thought making maps and all. If you want to put different non-deer food on a map, it cannot be berries, because Byzantine, Abbasid, Delhi, etc. are going to be crazy. Boar is also risky because you might shaft the berry sieves. So the only like neutral food that is not under TC, I mean, you could add sheep, but they're under TC again. But the only neutral food is really fish ponds. So I really hope we get some options. Maybe small boar that everyone can eat. I don't know. We'll have to see. But from a map making point of view, it's kind of restricting, because you got the option of big berries, small berries, 3-pack, 5-pack, 7-pack, 9-pack deer, and boar, and the fish ponds. And yeah, it's a tricky thing. I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing some nerf to pro scouts. I don't know what, but right now it's really annoying because you will get deer, and even if you don't get deer, you just drop them, run them away 15 meters, and then come back, and they're so spread out that you can't really catch the scouts at some point.
That does actually bring me to a balanced discussion. I wasn't paying super close attention through the month of December as I was addicted to something else. Rus went from kind of being considered on the weaker side to strong. Is that just because of pro scouts, or is that because people figured something else out with them too during that time? I don't know if anyone even knows the answer to this.
No, I think Rus is just a really, really good civ. Like, they have every age up they have, like Landmark, is super good. They have boosted income on almost all of their resources, except for gold, which you don't need boosted income if you're getting passive gold from all your hunting cabins, and if you have 5 rocks, for example. Another thing, if you guys, like, whoever's watching as well, like, if you play against Rus, or if you play Rus, you can go 1 TC against the second TC pile, and you're going to have more resources gathered than your opponent almost every single game, just as 1 TC, and that's just because your economy scales super well with pro scouts, but also it's scaling so fast with the high trade house. If you get 5 relics, if you get 3 sacred sites, right? I don't know. That's another issue with second TC and fast castle, is like, it feels like I'm gathering more resources going fast castle, but I'm also getting the neutral like resources such as the relics, as the sacred sites, right? Whereas the second TC pile should in fact have more resources per minute, because they're scaling off of a resource that is not finite, but you get to so many villages, you don't want to have more, right? Whereas with relics and sacred sites, like, you're taking that away from your opponent, like, and obviously they don't cost pop, right? So you should have fewer resources gathered than your opponent, which is just not the case. So I think, yes, it has to do with the Civ just being really good right now, but also the meta is really good for them, which is what we said.
And is this
I don't
why
really know.
Abbasid is considered on the weaker side now? At least that's from what I gathered from watching your drafting earlier today, Beasty, was Abbasid doesn't
It's not on the weaker side, it's fucking awful.
And is that just because of
Like,
pro
it
scouts?
sucks. I mean, yeah, like, Avacid is like 2TC. The funny thing is, even Ava Pro Scouts is too slow because of their age up, and because if you want to get the bonus from the culture wing, you have to wait for that to research too, so that you make it like French upgrade basically a little bit cheaper. But I think the main reason why Ruse got so strong is like all the stuff that Wham said. But before, when you played Ruse, you have to mine gold at some point, right? You go 2TC and then you gather food, wood, and then you mine gold. But now you don't mine gold at all with Rus, like until I would say late castle, because the change that was made was that you now don't have the bounty system. You have the system that you just gather and you get food, or you get the bounty and you get gold from it. So you get so much passive gold that, like, I've had games where you get the relics, you age up to castle and everything, and I have like 3,000 gold without mining it while getting all the upgrades. Like, that's like, you're getting like 800 gold per minute in castle. It's like what are we talking here? So the issue is that you're kind of playing with two resources as Rus. So everyone's splitting their workers on food, wood, and gold, and you're just putting them all on wood and food, and you're spamming so many units that like no civ can keep up because of it. So yeah, like I think like their bounty system together with increased like food gathering rate, there should either be like something you upgrade to unlock the bounty system or make it harder to achieve, because every civ unlocks their bonuses by doing something, or most of them. Like Abbasid, I'll give an example. You have to build 10 buildings. Ruse doesn't do anything, and you just gather faster and you get gold on top of that. It's like, it's a little bit too much. So when you play the game, you can actually outproduce any civ once you reach castle. It doesn't matter what civ you're playing against. You can just straight up kill them by smashing units.
No, I mean, I definitely agree on the gold one. I know I've noticed that. I had a game, I think I went to Imperial, and I never had more than 4 villagers on gold the entire game. And I had more than enough gold than I needed. I guess, yeah, it's crazy the passive gold income. I think I even matched or outbeat a Malian player, which was
Yeah, it's
surprising to me.
it's quite a bit.
I disagree with Vam and Beasty. The main problem with Rus is pro scouts. Like before pro scout meta, people tried to figure out something. It was like Kreml, Underpack, and FC. And people just making 5 horse archers and died without food. You cannot go castle without deers and without gold. You just die without food. Like for now, Rus just strong because you have freaking deer under your TC. And you get an insane amount of bounty. Like, I feel like devs was, not really aware, like, how good and how superior Rus might be with pro scouting. They were like, yeah, maybe they will move out from the map, eat some boar, eat some deers, and they will get bounty, like, a bit slower than before. But for now, it's a situation when previous bounty system was worse for Rus than it now, because of pro scouts, I feel like. For now, every hatred house, even for like 10 woods, will give you like 80 freaking gold. So I feel like it's only pro scout issue for me with Rus. Without deers, you will just die out of food. You cannot go FC, you cannot spam food efficient units. And for now, you just have unlimited food. And like, even now, I think it's almost impossible to prevent Rus from deers. Like, even China, even Delhi cannot just make spears and go into a base. You always can push deers, you always can, do something with Rus. Tempo is just insane.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that before we move on to more current, well, I guess that is still current, but another current topic?
I actually have a question to the other guys. How do you feel about deer pushing? Because it was mentioned. Because from a map making point of view, it's kind of annoying because if you put the deer very close, people will push him in, and you have 3 pro scouts essentially. If you put them far, then for the non-pro scouts, it's very hard to get them again. So there's no middle ground, I feel.
I mean, so honestly, I know it's kind of controversial, and a lot of people think that's bad for the game. But it's like, I feel like it's skill expression, and you don't actively want to take stuff like that away from the game, and that's the same reason why I thought, like, I wasn't super big fan of the ball being pulled and attacking villages and stuff, but that's another way to, show your skill in the game. So I think it's something that should, like, I understand that it's not great for map makers and stuff like that, but there's always going to be an issue where if you have the deer far away from the TC, or not far away, but like in a range where you can kind of push the deer in, it's going to be better or good for some civ or another. For example, if you can't push the deer in, then it's better for French, right? Because you can just move there and build a what do you call them? A building, a mill. Well, I was thinking like yeah, mill. But like Roos would need to build a hunting cabin, right? Which is like 75 more wood. So it's better for French in that example. But if you can push them, then it's better for Roos because you get 2 scouts or whatever. And I think it's fine. I think the issue that you can push them and them being bad for map makers is kind of a separate issue. I think we just kind of need more food in this game, like types of food, right? Maybe like I don't know. Bunch of people have came up with ideas, but like crocodiles you wouldn't be able to push, maybe, right? So that's my take on that.
To me, it's crazy that like I feel like they've done so many changes, so many like added stuff. I don't understand. Like genuinely shocked that we don't have more animals. Like what's the problem? I don't get it. Like add chickens. Like are they offensive to someone? Do you know what I mean? Like add the I don't know, homebred pigs. Like. Why don't we have some more stuff? Like the Pro Scout thing could be solved like Wham mentioned earlier if we had like like another type of animal and Pro Scouting only can carry sheep and deer, then that's already solved. If you have another animal, you can Pro Scout it, it already helps. So I'm genuinely confused why we don't have that. Like just let us like pick apples or something as well, make them like berries but a little bit more spread out. Like just add some variety and it would I think it would help a lot with that. But regarding the pushing, I like the pushing because of the skill expression like Wham said, but I think there should be a limit. I don't think you should be pushing the deer half across the map because I just like doing it every once in a while or with some civs is fine, but then having to do it all the time and stuff is a bit annoying. So you know how wolves used to drag across the whole map? And then they had a reset spot? Yeah, I think maybe extend that a little bit, so not only to like push them, like half the screen away, maybe extend it a bit more, but I don't think you should push them forever.
Yeah, makes sense.
So you can still like do that thing where you push them closer to your base, so then they're at the edge of your TC, or it's at least easier to defend, or you can push them towards the corners of the map or something so that you can quickly wall it or something, right? But I don't think you should be removed completely.
Another thing though is like if you have pushing only to a certain extent, then that kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of makes maps a little bit, spawns a little bit more important. Like if you have deer close to your gold, right, you could push them towards your gold and put 2 towers there, right? But if you have like deer in the middle of the map and like you have no resources there, then that's kind of shit because you're pushing them towards nothing, right? I don't know. It would be nice if you could like push like your first deer pack in, but anything other than that, like you wouldn't be able to do that. I don't know. Because I've had situations where I've pushed my deer towards my gold, and it's been really really nice for me. Like I don't know, same Ottomans or something, and he tries to kill my deer before I can push them towards my TC. I just push them towards my gold. But I don't know. I just don't like the RNG-ness of deer pushing sometimes, and the fact that you can't really you wouldn't be able to push them all the way towards your TC in some cases.
Okay, to be honest, I really like deer pushing meta. I mean, it's just spectacular, exciting play. Not everyone at top 10 can push deers, no offense. And
whoa.
I'm offended.
Why we should why we should stop cool macro mechanic. And for me, it's super easy counterplay. Just kill Dirs. But guys, it's not so easy. Like versus Rus, you can't stop Dir pushing, and you know why? Because Rus have like freaking 2 or 3 scouts, and you have 1, and you have to cycle or map and try to find random ships. It's my hot take. I cannot scout my Opa, or I cannot push Dirs because I have to scout map in hope to find few ships more. I mean, for me, it's a bit much. Why we have 20 neutral ships? Okay, they added 2 more ships into my TC. Okay, I have 5. Okay, hooray! But for me, it's not enough.
Okay, Anotand.
I really like Kirillauger. Like, you have 3 ships around your freaking TC, and you have Dirpak. And then I can just scout map, and I can do stuff with my scout, not just try to fight ship. Okay, I think, I agree that we need like some neutral ship. Maybe 10, maybe 12. No, please, not 20.
I have a fix for Rus. Just don't let them make scouts from hunting cabin.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
There we go.
But-
Boom. Fixed.
I mean, that would fix that problem.
That
It
would
will not-
literally fix Rus. No, it would! It would!
It will not. It will not fix the games when you have 20 ships and I have 3. But yeah, it will fix Rus problem.
Rus problem it will fix, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
the problem with Rus is you push the first deer pack and you have like all the scouts, right? Without putting in any more resources. Like if they had to make stables, that already changes quite a bit for the scouts. And the scouts would be delayed. So they would be on par with other civs, which means they would have to make units to defend the stuff too.
Yeah. But my point is that RNG ships, it sucks.
It's so bad. I think the sheep stuff is just like. Does anybody actually like that? I don't.
I don't, but that's because I don't get sheep anymore. Or at least I haven't lately. I need to improve my scouting pattern.
But like, I understand
Anotand does
there's reasons for like having sheep in the game. Like, you want the pro to scout and stuff. But it's like the RNG is like you could have 10 sheeps, right? Why do you need 20 sheeps, neutral sheeps? It's just.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
I agree that the scouting pattern is super important, and you can get advantage by it. But you do not need to have like 2k more food because of scouting pattern. It's not fair. Okay, just you have better scouting pattern. 500 more food. Okay, it's also like a huge deal. Or 700 more food. But 2k, like, I'm sorry, but it's too much.
How do we feel? Like, do we think? I was actually surprised to see in the last patch that scouts were less train time, and I think they were made a little cheaper. Did that catch anyone else off guard? That change seemed a little. I don't know. I didn't feel like scouts needed a buff at all.
It buffed Rusi,
Yeah, it did.
which is kind of funny. I mean, that was a weird one. I don't know why they did that. It was just like, what? Like even beside the pro scout, I don't know, like what was the reason to just buff that in the first place. So it was a bit confusing, like to me. But regarding the sheep stuff, by the way, like sheep RNG can obviously be like super annoying. The other option is going more towards StarCraft 2 maps, always having the same sheep spawn. I don't really enjoy scouting on Lakeside because it's always the same. The sheep are always in the same spots. You go towards the middle, you go down, you go left, and each player gets their own sheep side, right? And then you go and hit their dock. And it's like, to me, that's not really entertaining or engaging in any way. Like at that point, we just spawn sheep in my base. Why are we even bothering finding them, right? If we know where they are. So I think that's part of like Age of Empires games in general, to have that RNG and like resource RNG, which, you know, is a whole another topic with a lot of preset maps recently, which I'm not sure if it's a good step. I'm not sure that the direction is very good for the future of competition to have that many preset maps in the game.
Yeah, I agree with you, Beasty. I found that RNG can be exciting and it's part of our game. Like Hearthstone was one of the best cybersports game, but it was like completely RNG. But my point, like, when you failed your ship scouting, you just losing the game. I feel like it may be a bit less RNG. Like you need to still have some waste and opportunity, and your failure not should be so food costly. I'm not advocating for like preset maps SK2. No, I'm just trying to find the ways and maybe keep RNG ships, but just in less amount of them.
Yeah, maybe a good idea would be having maybe a set 6 to 8 around your base. I don't remember how many are on a map with the sheep changed. I don't know how that changed. I can't remember. But let's pretend 6 to 8 around your base, then you can have them RNG around the map, so you still need to scout for sheep rather than just get your preset determined 12 or whatever it is. Could be a potential solution.
I think myself, I don't know about other people, but I'm scouting for sheep instead of scouting for the map, which doesn't feel like how the game should work. Like, I thought the point of sheep, at least, I don't know, but you'd think from at least a developer standpoint, it'd be to encourage players to scout the map, right? Because the map should be more important than, getting more sheep than, well, they're both important, but scouting the map should be just as important as getting sheep on the map, right? Because, like, we just said, the map is RNG, which I agree it should continue to be RNG, but, like, if it's RNG, I should be scouting for the resources on the map instead of just scouting for the sheep. And I feel like I'm scouting for the sheep 10 times more than ever scouting for the resources on the map. And it's just, like, the balance at the moment is just not in a state that I think is healthy for the game, and they should at least reduce the amount of sheep on the map. And another thing that needs to be, in my opinion, just eliminated is the sheep migration. The sheep should not walk, like, I don't know, an entire tree worth of distance on the map. Like, they're just walking too far, and you're missing the sheep because they're walking so far on the map. And I don't know, it just contributes to RNG. Like, why is my sheep walking halfway across the map? What's the point of that? Like,
I agree with that. Sometimes, like, you scout a position and then later on, your whole map is revealed and you find 2 sheep and you're like, I literally was there though, So yeah, I do think they move too much. I don't know for what reason. It's like they move super slow, but they can be like just outside of line of sight and then later they show up like at the spot you were. But so you know how if there's 20 sheep on the map, there's 10 on your side, 10 on the opponent's side. So some maps still have problems with generation from what I know, and I mean Avely can chime in on this. Like specifically Gorge was made, the latter version, to be like more balanced. But basically before, every map had a chance, like, yes, it's 10 on your side, 10 on the other side, but you could have a chance, if you guys remember the old Dry Arabia, to find like 9 sheep basically on the same screen, and then the other side has nothing. So if you go the other side, you find nothing, and your opponent finds everything. So I think that devs just need to split like the map in quadrants and just put 5, 5, 5, 5 on each spot. So it doesn't matter where you go, you will run into the 5 sheep at least. So that minimizes the RNG to some extent, because still some maps have that problem where one side has all the sheep for both players, and then the other side just has nothing at all. So if you go the wrong way, it's like, well, it is what it is.
I love the idea of clusters of 5. I think we should definitely do it.
Like on Rocky River. You go to the middle and you find like 10 sheep in the same spot. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to a more fun. Well, I don't know how much information we have on this topic really, but I know we just had a recent patch that buffed Springalds. What are your guys' thoughts on the new Springald so far? I've only seen a couple games. I haven't been able to test it myself, so I don't have a personal opinion on it too much. But hopefully you guys have had a few games that can, do you think they're too strong, too early to tell?
Anotand is abuser. Go ahead, Anotand.
I don't know. Like, when I'm making Springles, like, I'm just killing my opponent, like, versus Beasty. When Beasty making Springles versus me, I'm just killing them in 1 second. He made, like, 8 Springles versus me, and, like, 2 of minus 2 beats just, they dead. it's kinda weird. Like they're super good versus like mass melee, but sometimes like or Horseman Mass or Mangonels or Nestobis just shitting on them. I still didn't figure out yet. Sometimes they super OP, sometimes they feel meh. At least I can say that at Imperial Age they not great. Yes, they have like power spike at mid Castle Age, and then they like a bit falling off.
Oh, interesting. So you think they fall off then? What about the rest of you?
I've had some I've only played a few games with the new patch, but I've had some really funny games with Springalds where I've just masked a lot of Springalds, and you can check in my my area for World games. Well, probably on my main account actually. My game's open, but I've just like went mass Springald, and I've killed so many of my opponents this way, and I don't know. I just don't like Siege and the fact that they don't cost food, so you can just make so many of them, and have this like kind of power spike because the opponent kind of has to transition into farms and stuff, where you kind of don't. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of massing Siege in general. I think Siege should just be more of like a niche part of the game. I guess like obviously there's I'm sure people disagree with that, but it's not a big fan of Siege in general. I think they're a little bit too strong right now. Like they're too good of a counter to melee units, especially. Like whereas range units in general, like Expos and Ultras, like yeah, they can be good, but like they're not that good against like Spearmen and Men-at-Arms, for example. Whereas like if they have like 50 Men-at-Arms or 50 Spearmen, I almost feel like you should be building Springalds instead of building ranged units.
Anyone else have any thoughts on this beautiful Springald unit? Do you think we're headed towards a Springald meta?
Nah, maybe on some maps, but I think there's still Siege. It's like they're still too slow, and but I think that it's for me it's kind of ridiculous. I don't mind them countering melee units, but I don't know why they're killing archers and crossbows, and in big enough maps they're killing horsemen too. Like, if you have like 15, it doesn't matter what's in front of them. They just do too much damage. So I think their damage is like 18 plus 10 versus melee infantry. Their damage should be like 10, and then plus 18 versus melee infantry. So they're more melee counter than range. Because I thought like, oh, if you go crossbows or archer or something, you can deal with them pretty effectively, but they actually just kill them like super easily as well. So I think just like mangonels were changed so they do bonus damage against ranged units, right? I think Springald should be the same for melee infantry, not against everything like mangonels used to be. So I think that's a good point to start and kind of see from there, but I don't think they're like OP necessarily that you can't kill them. They're just very weird and new.
Let's see you laughing over there, Anotand.
No, I just read comment in Beasty chat. Looks like my birthday party during lockdown with my 3 classmates. It was funny. But I agree with Beasty, like they're too good versus Archer and the X-Bow mass. It's kinda ridiculous.
I'm guessing.
Like 15.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, 15 Springals will kill 30 Archers, like there is no doubt. But it shouldn't be like that, probably. I don't know.
And
What do you guys think about
go
the
ahead.
patch in general? I was just gonna ask because honestly, in my opinion, I don't think this patch is that good of a patch. I think that like a lot of the issues they were trying to address kind of missed the point. Like the scout not like I don't know if you even want to call that enough, but reducing the cost by 5 on scouts. I understand that is because of the train time, but also you're kind of buffing pro scouts in that way, and then also the Springald buff. It's like, like feels kind of. I think they buffed him twice. Yeah, it has a larger hitbox and I think they did one other thing, so it's like,
They increased the damage, I think.
yeah, maybe the damage. I don't know. I just feel like this patch in general, it's not terrible patch by any means. I just like, there's been better patches that I've seen.
Well, that was the next thing to talk about, was the new patch and how we're thinking about it other than Springald's.
Okay, well,
So way to go, Wham! But do we think Japan is more viable on non-water maps now? I know they got felt like they got a lot of changes. Or is it no one really played with them much?
I've played with them a bit. I mean, they have Dark Age, right? And then they nerfed their Castle Age. I thought they had bigger changes, but it's just kind of like meh, in my opinion. Like, other than the Dark Age stuff, it's not that like impactful.
I haven't played with them much, but I feel like the only thing that I was thinking about that could be good is like Dark Age Rush, maybe even a Tower Rush into Fast Castle. So you like block the opponent's gold and then you get Castle and then you kind of force something there. But it still feels the same all in, right? It's like I'm going to block the gold and I'll rush Castle and I hope I don't get killed by then, right? So I do like the barracks are cheaper so you can transition to like infantry faster, but I don't know. I think it's just same style. Maybe something will come out of this, but I feel like it's just same style that it was before with slight changes. But I heard from other players that it didn't really do much. So
Well, maybe in the expansion, as I'm assuming that's when we'll get our next patch.
yeah. Other than that, I was very surprised about the Malian buffs. I was not aware that Malian even needed one buff, and they buffed it like 6 times. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like they buff Sofa, Scouts, Houses, Pit Mine, then Pit Mine Gold with Safari Warriors, and I was like, did they really need a buff? I don't. And that many? Like, when was the last time a Civ just got 6 buffs?
That surprised me too, and I was very surprised about the passive gold buff, because I feel like with Malians, passive gold was never an issue. Or maybe I'm wrong on that, but
Like, that's a good thing about them. So, I was very surprised to see, like, all the buffs for them, because I don't think they were the best Civ. It's just like, there's a lot of other Civs that need help than Malian, especially in that amount of buffs, so, yeah.
yeah, I'm scared to play versus Malians now after seeing those buffs.
There's a few
I mean,
interesting buffs here with
yeah.
Malians, but like some of them are like town center cost, or like
Oh, yeah, that
Eh.
too.
like I don't know. They're not like none of these buffs are huge, right? Like I agree that they probably didn't need buffs, but like I don't know, I would have expected like nerfs to Roost of China or HRA more than buffs to these civs that kind of I don't know. I mean, I think Japan needs more buffs than this, in my opinion, for them to be viable. And then Malians is like, just like they're fine. Like so, yeah. I don't
Like
know.
we
What are we
don't,
gonna say? Finn?
yeah, we don't have like developer or like community manager here, but I'm like trying to think like dev right now. Probably, I think one stuff with Mali, it's always spears, javelin throwers, and like developers maybe just trying to make Civ a bit more variety, like maybe Safa archers, maybe Musafadi again, like scouts at Middle Age, because yeah, for now it's a bit. Always just scouts, javeliners, and freaking Donsba. So maybe yeah, they just trying to make Civ a bit more viable. With a bit patch, I think we should be patient. Like yeah, it's not a big patch. We didn't get like as much what we wanted, but we still have DLC in future, and who knows when. And I don't wanna like offend the great developers right now. Maybe in few months, in like 3-4 months, if they will make DLC, and if it will be bad, then I will be so mad, because we are not getting big patches for like 5-6 months, and we getting bad DLC. No way. Like if developers are watching it, they better to make a good DLC. Otherwise, like no way, yeah, people will not be mad. Because yeah, now we just like a bit chilling with patches, just to waiting for a new content, for a new civs, and we'll see how it goes.
I think
What'll make you happy, Anotand? What's a good DLC for you?
Give me at least 2 civs, not variants, and civ with new mechanic, like not like Spanish or Poland, something new, like Mesoamerican stuff or something like that. Yeah, what?
Just a note, I do plan on talking about the expansion later,
Okay.
so don't want to go too heavy into it at the moment.
So my theory, okay, this is kind of talking about expansion, but not really.
Go for it.
So my theory is that the reason we have these patches, so I don't know anything, so I'm not leaking anything. I think the DLC is gonna be in April because they extended the season, and I think the reason this patch was so underwhelming, they have not done any crucial civilization changes. They have done like bombard damage was increased, like Springald, elite men at arms was kind of reverted to what it was. So if the DLC is in April, it wouldn't really make sense to nerf many things, right? So let's assume there's new food coming, which copium, right? But let's say there's new food coming. Do we really need to nerf Pro Scouts now? Because if the new food comes and the Pro Scouts is not much of an issue. So I think maybe the reason why we didn't have Jushi Legacy and China and HRE nerfs is because, in my opinion, if I'm thinking as them, right, does it make sense to do some massive changes when you're about to do like new civs and maybe they're going to introduce more stuff, right, that's going to change up the game, and then you might like screw it up even more in a way. So that's my kind of copium theory, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess if we're already on that discussion, I will think I have been an advocate believer of the April release since the new season was announced, because I think it's our longest season by far, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's purposely extended, which is why like that was like in October, November, and I was like, that has to be DLC. Why else would you extend it?
Yeah, and then also the if I'm not mistaken, the EGC tournament set for March was moved to mid-April, right? I'm not hallucinating that, right? Pretty sure I read that somewhere, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, you're right.
Because if that's been moved there, that almost more points to a next season being the expansion, which again I don't think is going to be too surprising. But since we're talking about the DLC, I did see some people comment that that we're getting we're getting 2 expansions, right? Which is great news. And some people think that means we're only going to get variant civs in the next expansion. Obviously, if you have secret info on this, you can't confirm or deny. I don't, so I feel fine speculating. But I feel like we're still going to get at least 2 new civs and probably at least a couple variant expansions in the expansion coming in April. I don't think it's just going to be variants, but that's just my opinion. What do you guys think, assuming you don't have the secret background info?
I think we're gonna get 1 plus 2. So 1 new one, 2 variants. And then again 1 new one, 2 variants.
Yeah, I think so.
It would make sense, right? I mean, that's what they did last time. Like, I was kind of discussing this the other day. It'd be kind of weird if they just ditch variant civs, because now it's like, okay, 4 civs have them, and then the rest of the civs just don't have them. So I think like maybe this was supposed to be one big DLC and they didn't make it in time, so now they're splitting into 2. Which, to be fair, I talked about this the last time we got the major DLC. I love the 6 new civs, right? But it was also very like overwhelming and too much at the same time. And then there were patches, and it felt like there's too much info, there's too much new stuff. So I actually prefer, if that was the case, that they split it in 2 and then just get like 1 civ and then 2 variants. So then we can have content for next, like you're gonna be like content high for like the next 3-4 months playing and testing stuff. Then there's gonna be a big patch that's hopefully gonna fix some stuff in that DLC. And by the time you kind of sorted everything, new DLC is basically coming out. So you kind of have the whole year engaged, and you don't have this like dry season of 6 months, nothing's really happening. So yeah.
Yeah, it almost makes me wonder if we're going to have a, a, longer season again after the April. Because I think it's just going to be variants, right? Because I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. So I don't think we're going to get 3 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 expansions in the next expansion. I think we're going to get 2 ex I guess no. I guess I forgot about summer. I'm for skipping summer for some reason. I'm betting we're gonna have a normal one, then an extended summer to winter. Because I anticipate the next one being a November, December, would be my guess.
I mean, it might be on the anniversary, right?
That's
It
also
would kind of
possible.
fit almost perfectly, right? The next season would be April, May, June, and then July, August, September. Maybe they extend that one, and
That's a good one. I bet you're right on that one.
and then Red Bull Walla. They're gonna do
Right.
one player
For
invitational.
H2.
Yeah, we surely have a Red Bull coming this year.
For sure.
Yeah, I feel like we really need great DLC that will boost player numbers. Because I'm jealous. Why StarCraft 2 gets in 1 million tournament with Arabian Sheikhs?
You should not be jealous of StarCraft 2 right now.
Yeah, I'm not anymore, but I was. And like,
Okay, that's fun.
my point, IFO is right now still is the best RTS on market. It's the most modern, most it's triple A project.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's still highly maintained, and there is no competition for me. It's only IFO.
I wouldn't say it's the most modern, but it has the most appeal to new players, I think. Like, I think it makes the most sense for Microsoft to invest into Age of Empires 4, but there's still a lot that they can do to improve the game. Like, there's so much that we don't have, that we could have, that would make the game better.
But I mean, my point
And we
is,
should have it.
if I'm casual player who just want to go into RTS, I
Yeah.
will never start AoE 2. I will never start StarCraft 2.
No, I agree.
IFO looks somewhat like historically kind of accurate. You have good campaigns and you nice graphics probably.
I mean, I think right now the best two RTSs is AoE 2 and AoE 4. Like, they're also getting, like, the big thing is...
AoE 4 and AoE 2.
Right. I mean, in no specific order. Like,
Yeah.
I think the reason for that is both have pretty active communities right now. The player base for both is very good. We're getting updates. There's new stuff happening. Like, the devs are sometimes working slow, but the things are happening, right? Microsoft, World's Edge, they're still involved. Because if you look at other RTS games, Blizzard doesn't give a shit about Warcraft or StarCraft. Like, while they might have tournaments, it will not grow from there. Like, it will stay the same, which is okay. But I think AoE 2 and AoE 4 still have a lot of space for growth. And I think new RTS games are going to have very hard time breaking into the genre. Because a lot of the RTS players are very old. And people like playing what they're used to. And, we see that with Brood War. And we see that with AoE 2. And I think in like 2-3 years, potentially if a new game comes out, it's like, well, do I keep playing AoE4, what I know and what I like, or do I abandon and just go to another game? I think a lot of people will stay with their game they're playing right now.
Unless it's Age of Empires 5. Surely
Okay.
surely that's being developed.
And that's different. That's different.
That's true. It's same series for
Yeah.
the most part.
Yeah, I agree with Beasty, but I feel like we should devs should put more work into campaigns, because IFO campaigns like super detailed and cool, but it's not so much content. I feel like
100% agree.
there is a lot of players from Asia in the game right now, so maybe like Chinese campaign will be good, because we still do not have like major Civ campaigns, and it's kinda.
I think they should
I
be
don't know,
doing
I-
co-op campaigns too. I think those were a huge hit in StarCraft 2,
Mm-hmm.
and I really think
I was gonna say that I've been playing the AoE 2 co-op campaigns with my brother, and it's probably the most fun I've had in RTS the last half year.
Oh yeah, imagine like
So
me and
much
Avely
fun.
playing co-op campaign. Like he's building
Yeah.
walls and I'm just doing everything else. And,
Exactly.
Like, we both making
And
our
then doing
favorite
Springald, I wall up.
in AoE4. Yeah.
Anotand's mass siege defending, sitting behind the Avely
Yeah, it's
walls.
perfect. Yeah.
Well, you laugh, but in AoE 2, just build a fort, it kills everything.
Yeah.
It's been our strategy. But no, it's like, I'd love for them. Like, they can, I don't know, add one variant for like, and co-op campaign, I'm happy.
So this is something I heard from, obviously I don't know a lot about modding, but like I wish the devs just came out and said, "Listen, we're not gonna do campaigns." Like if that's the case, or we're just never gonna do campaigns for every civ. And if they just said that, and then we say, okay, cool, can you release the modding tools to be actually good, or editor tools? Because I heard there's a lot of issues with those. People can make campaigns. People have done that in AoE 2. But from what I heard, editing in AoE 4 is extremely problematic, and there's a lot of stuff missing. And I think there's a lot of people that would make campaigns for AoE 4. And yeah, the devs didn't make it, and maybe it won't be like as sharp and as good quality, but at least there's something more for casual players. Campaigns were made in Warcraft 3, they were made in StarCraft 2, and I'm sure they would be made in AoE 4. So, but I hope they make more campaigns in general. And yeah, co-op content. I don't know if you guys know, but like 50% of the players in StarCraft 2 only play co-op, which is insane. Like those numbers are insane.
Yeah.
So, hopefully.
Yeah, it would be nice. I think my dream scenario for the DLC would be having co-op, and well, my big dream would be map editor being expanded on quite a bit. I think, because right now, as Avely said earlier, we're they're restricted on what they can do with maps, and it'd be really nice if they could add, more food, unbuildable terrain, or at least other terrain types. I think that would really expand the type of maps we can get, because it does feel like it'd be very difficult for map makers to make, good maps when they're so restricted right now, which I imagine everyone would agree with.
I mean, like as a community, like AoE4 would be the first game that's dominated by mods or edited stuff, right? You have from shooter games to RTS games to whatever other games. Like survival games are heavily modded. So you could have a mod in AoE4 that changes the way trees look. You could change the bears into something else. You could change the sheep into another animal. You can make unbuildable terrain, make campaign with that. So you could also do stuff like why does Abbasid and Ayubit don't have camel traders? Like you could do stuff like that with modded tools. That is it gonna make AoE4 have a million players? No, but like that's a nice thing to have in the game. There's a lot of those things that could be fixed or could be made a lot nicer. But from what I
just
know,
keeping the game alive. Like for example, maybe you can switch French voice line to Marylord voice, and it will be just hilarious. Like everyone will love it. Just some little stuff like this.
Yeah, Marine Lord screaming, like when the villager gets attacked, it's just Marine Lord screaming instead.
Yeah. Because in AoE2, yes, they have it. Like you can do it.
Yeah.
By the Marine Lord taunt pack, huh?
I'd pay for that.
Yeah, so I think those things would be like really cool. Like as much as I'm not excusing devs, as much as I want devs to make campaigns and co-ops, I kind of wish more they release proper editing tools so that people like, okay, you're not going to do it. That's fine. Just let us do it then, let the community do it. So.
Oh, 100%. If I could only choose one, I would choose map editor. Even though I wouldn't personally work on the map editor, I know a lot of people who would. And I think it would definitely improve the game a lot for people who stick around.
Yeah, I wish we had a developer in this call. It would be more interesting, because I think, personally for me, if there was a choice between campaign or having, like, a few civs, right, I would choose the civs, I think co-op campaign would be really fun, but I also think when you try to do too many things in the game, like, developers can only do so much, right? And if you give modding tools, then that allows the community to do more. I guess you saw that in Age of Empires 2 with I don't know what it was called, the Battle for the Greeks or whatever. The Chronicles of Greeks. That campaign was developed by a different studio, I think it was Capture Age, right?
Forgotten Empires, maybe? Or no, not Forgotten
No,
Empires.
no, it was Capture Age, I think, developed that. Chronicles for Greece or something. And it could be kind of the same for AoE4, right? Which I think would be easier for campaigns. Like, all I'm saying is that, I mean, Stormgate is maybe a bad example of this. Maybe they failed for other reasons, but like Stormgate tried to do campaign, co-op, multiplayer. They tried to do everything, right? And modern RTSs, you kind of do try to do everything, compared to like, I don't know, these other games like Marvel Rivals. They just have a really good multiplayer. I mean, that's at least all that I play. So when you try to do everything, obviously doing everything is harder than just doing one thing, and you're gonna make a worse product if you try to do 3 things at once than if you just try to specialize in one thing. But if you give the community modding tools to do the campaign and stuff like that, then I think that would be really cool. I think a co-op campaign would be, like Avely said, would be really, really fun. I don't know. I'm just hesitant to like go really hard into like, like I said, I would really be interested into what developers, like an actual developer, would give more insight on this. But I think campaigns are really hard to make.
Well,
So you would kind of have to choose between having a few new civs or having a campaign, right?
Well, we know AoE4 campaigns are harder to make because if they follow, and I don't, I haven't played through either campaign, but I do know that they have these, the cut scenes where they're talking about specific things like a trebuchet and, going out and recording footage and all that. So I imagine the AoE4 campaigns are a lot more complex to make if they keep going that format. Whereas I think AoE2 campaigns are a lot easier since they just use some text and they don't do any like crazy cinematics or anything. So I think that's why AoE2 almost always gets a new campaign in their expansions, whereas I know our first, I mean, I say expansion, but when we got those 2 new civs, wasn't any new campaign on it. Even though
Yeah.
I
it
mean,
was free.
just do the text then, like we don't need video. Like if that's what it takes, don't do the videos.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I agree. I think especially if they decide they want to add co-op, I think that's how they should do it. I don't think they should try to keep the high quality that they did on the initial release, and I don't know if the expansion has it or not, but I'm not sure if the developers, how much of a choice they have in that when it comes to how they do their campaigns.
Like I think one of the biggest missed opportunities is the arts of war. Like to me, it's shocking that more work has not been done on that. It's replayable content, and I'm pretty sure like guys from AOE4 World could have like top scores or high scores and stuff like that, like the Malian challenge. Like imagine if you had a challenge like that for every civ, like English, French challenge, whatever else, and replayability is always there. You make stuff not come like every wave is the same. You just make it RNG and people can play that forever. I mean, StarCraft 2 co-op is literally like randomized every week and things are different, and that's why people play it because it has replayability. So I think it's something that's very good to add to the game because if you don't have casuals, then the game is not going to do well long term.
No, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't too surprised the Art of the Wars weren't really touched on a lot. I feel like every game that does it where they add like an Art of the War, I think they should update it, but I don't know if it's time, they don't have enough resources. It's always hard to say not having that background on seeing the developers, but I would have been kind of surprised if they had kept it up to date. But it would be nice if
Maybe,
the community did it and then they could officially add it to
yeah,
that.
that's what I was going to say. Like, if we had modding tools properly, community could do it. And then, I mean, it can be that hard to just put it into the thing, right? Like, if everything is made already, they don't have to do any resource or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the ideal way to go. I mean, I know that am I wrong, but in the last patch did they make any editor changes at all? Like small ones? I can't remember if they did or not.
No idea.
Avely, you're a map editor, do you know?
Not that I know of. I know that in the modders Discord, we got told that there's going to be a terrain that spawns walls, so you can make an arena map.
Oh
But
yeah,
that's the only thing I've heard.
Bitterland did confirm in chat that yes, some small changes were made. Hopefully, that means maybe we'll get some bigger changes in an expansion. I mean, I'll keep coping on that one, but really hoping that that happens at some point. Or what I'd really like is if nothing is going to be done with the editor, I kind of hope that the developers wish the developers would just say so we don't have to hope on it anymore. I'd like one way or the other would be nice. Which kind of
It's
brings.
very powerful, the editor. It's just it's kind of complex to get into it, but once you got you understand how stuff works and you can make a lot with the maps. But it is a high, like what do you say, barrier of entry to get going. But
Well, you are
like
the
to
number one map maker.
to prototype a map is kind of easy because there's a tool which is like sort of like Paint. You have boxes, which is the map grid, and you can just assign terrains to that. It's gonna be static, but for first test of a map, you can quite quickly do that because some map concepts are very nice, some are bad. So spending a lot of time on the complex editor, just I don't know, put the map out. Wham's like, nah, screw this, and then yeah, it's a lot of time wasted.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know too much about it. I haven't played with the map editor at all, or the editor at all.
I think the biggest advancement in terms of map making was by a guy called Drumson. He figured out how to implement custom terrains. So that's why we're having maps where you can have, I don't know, maybe a boar near you're starting to see, or maybe like in Coastal Cliffs, maybe no stone, etc. So you could really specifically tailor the terrains to what you want to spawn where, and that's been really great. Also for maps like Karlauga, etc. It wouldn't have been possible a year ago.
Does Drumsum still do that? I do remember when
He's
he was
around.
active.
Yeah,
Is
he's
he?
around.
I feel like I haven't seen him in a while, so I didn't know if he quit or if he still plays around with it at all.
I don't know if he actively still plays or makes maps, but he's active in the Modest Discord.
Yeah, good. This does kind of bring me up to maps and tournaments. I feel like I'm just gonna state. It feels like for every EGC, or I say EGC because they're the ones that host the biggest tournaments, right? It feels like there's always some conflict around maps. For example, in the last tournament, there was a lot of complaining, and then the maps were changed, and then there was complaining from other people. But it feels like no one gets feedback beforehand from the pros. Now, maybe you guys are in a secret Discord or discussion, and I'm not aware. Do you think that EGC or any big map tournament should look into getting feedback about the maps before announcing them? Or do you think it's better this way where they just announce it and then kind of go from there?
So we had the most recent tournament, is what I'm going to talk about. We had a lot of those maps were in the Kill Pigeon tournament, right? Transhuman, I can't remember the other ones that were taken out, but there were a lot of maps that were used in the Kill Pigeon tournament. I don't think that was the issue, to be honest. I think that just the sheer amount of new maps that they have, it's just really difficult for. I mean, I'm just going to talk for myself, but for myself to deal with, because like you're just playing on like 8-10 new maps in a new meta, and this is somebody who plays like the game a lot, right? Like I play the game a lot, like in comparison to, I don't know, somebody with a full-time job, right? And so I don't understand why, like how that's good for a scene if you're making somebody play the game so much to understand the game, based purely on the maps, right? Not based on anything else. It's just, I just don't think it's healthy to have so many new maps in the game, and this is an issue even in the KP tournaments themselves. But you're forcing a new map for every single week, right? It's like it's like if I don't have that much time, if I don't want to commit that much time to a game, I'm gonna skip out on this tournament, right? Which is not something you generally want to do. Like you don't want to force people to skip out on tournaments just because there's new maps. So it's not like I'm saying the maps are bad by any means. I just think that there's too many, like new maps. That is. So I don't think the feedback thing is the issue, in my opinion. That is to answer your point.
Okay, so you think it's because there's too many new maps at once?
Yeah. I mean, be curious to what other people have to say about that, but I think it's just there's just way too many new maps.
All right, let's go for Anotand. Let's have you go first this time. Or second.
It's hard for me. I feel like hot take. We don't have a lot of great maps in OFO right now. It feels like old maps kind of outdated with new patches, and I feel like we still kinda didn't get rid of corner market and like all skill side at middle. Like we still have maps where you can't get all win condition. I mean,
Well,
I don't mind new maps. I don't mind hybrid maps, but yeah, I agree with one that you need like at least a few weeks to prepare, like few weeks full-time gaming to prepare strats and find meta for them. For me, it's fun, but I know that it can be frustration, and sometimes you can just do not hit the meta and will be like you will be probably out. But it is what it is. I think we just need to experiment more with maps, but surely I think pro players' opinion matters. Yeah.
what about you, Beasty? Any thoughts?
I mean, I used to be someone who gives feedback about like drafting and like the maps, and it's like usually doesn't go well for me. Like even if the changes are made, I feel like I'm the evil guy who complain about the maps. So last tournament I didn't say anything, even though there was like people complaining that the maps suck or they don't suck, and then they change it and people complain about that. So I kind of just stayed to the side and laughed about it. I just found it amusing. I was like, yeah, this was usually me, but this time not really. But I feel like sometimes when it's a weird one because I also organize tournaments now, right? With Mareka, and it's like you want a mix of the maps that are good for the players, but you also want ladder maps for the viewers. But then you also want weird maps because you want excitement and you want new because you can't have every tournament on the same map. Which I understand. I do feel like there's a line somewhere there, and I feel like we're maybe going into extremes at times, where it's like, okay, we're playing the most boring stuff, or if you guys remember that tournament with the chaos category. So that's the last time I think I gave feedback, and I said if you have viewers pick the maps, they're gonna pick the most shit maps just because they don't care, right? They're trolling, and you're gonna have a lot of water maps. And they were like, well, we'll wait and see, right? And then a lot of the games were like water maps, 4 out of 5 games, right? So it's like I understand the need to create something new and create weird games, but it's like, do I mind moving out? I mean, I don't mind it. Do I want to watch moving out 15 games? Probably not. You know, it's it's like very repetitive and very out there. So it creates for fun games, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I've seen this one before. It's like it's the same matchup as before. So I kind of these days I try to stay out of it, and if they give the maps, I just practice them and that's it.
That's fair. I mean, when it comes to water maps, I do almost feel like it's always a select like 3, 4 civs. I mean, it's hard to balance it because they're just the better water civs. When you're trying to be unique, it's very hard to make that completely balanced. It's one of many reasons I'm not. I don't mind water maps if there's like, well, let me rephrase. I hate water maps in general, but in a tournament, if there's like one or two, but I feel like we're getting so many, is what it feels like to me, that I think that should be cut down a little bit. But what about you, Avely? Do you have any thoughts?
As someone with a full-time job, when I saw the map pool last time, I knew that there's no chance to practice all these special maps. Moving out, I've never played a single game on. Lakeside, the very first game I played on was in the qualifier. Actually won that game for some reason, but it's just no time to practice, right? You can't queue up ladder and get these maps. You need to necessarily find some custom games, but even then, there's only so much time. So it is what
Okay,
it is.
Avely,
But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not.
Avely,
I'm
hold
not-
on.
Hmm?
Okay, you have full-time job and you won like one Lakeside game, but Cat do not have full-time job. He played Lakeside 100 times and you still won.
Yeah, look, he
Huh?
built Springals before the patch. That was the issue.
Okay.
And I had longbows and I just killed them. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. I do understand both sides. Like for say more casual players like me, obviously ladder maps are the best because that's what we play in our free time. For pros, it's also difficult to train if there's an abundance of weird maps or non-standard maps. Then it's also really difficult to train, I think. For the viewers, I understand that they want to keep it exciting and fresh and do hype games. But I think, for example, Holy Island, we've played it so long in Holy Island, I think always exciting games. You don't need moving out or Lakeside, even though Lakeside I think is very boring because it's just the water and then straight down the middle. What I've mentioned before is what I think they should reintroduce is what we had in Red Bull Wololo is forced biomes per map to change the viewing experience. Because right now every map is green, Europe temperate most of the time. But if you say, okay, Gorge is steppes, Holy Island is Mediterranean, and etc. If you just add different biomes, then I think it also changes the viewing experience quite a lot because the maps look different and don't all look green. And it's
Okay, Avely,
it's-
Avely, hold on once again, sorry. Okay, sometimes I'm playing versus Canadians in tournament. And for some reason, they like put in some Canadian biome and it's like all white. I can't see ship. Yeah, like I just
Right.
ships are white and the snow is white. I can't see anything, and I'm just
That
mod.
one sucks though.
Yeah, you yeah. My biomes can be good, but you still need to be very cautious because I'm just don't wanna.
yeah, I don't think you should play on the winter
snow.
biome. You don't see crap and get
That one sucks.
your eyes burned out.
Yeah, so you need to choose biomes very carefully for tournament.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's also like dev's fault because I feel like their map pool is always like outdated. Like, why didn't we have Lakeside while the tournament was happening? Why do we have it now? You know, like now in the ladder, there's Lakeside, but what? For what? I don't. Like, I just
the
veto
problem
it.
is,
I'm not gonna
Beasty,
play it again.
We also get EGC versions of maps that is another
That's
issue on
also
top of
true.
it.
I mean, that's also true, but that's needed, and that's to me like that's on devs. Like, there is problems with some maps. Like, to be fair, out of all the ladder map pools, I think the one we have right now is probably the one you can put in a tournament, right? Like, you can just take all the maps on the ladder and be like, we're having a ladder tournament and have an S tier tournament and to be good. But I feel like we're always one step behind, you know? Like, we're either not playing on the ladder maps or the tournament finishes and then the maps we played on gets added to the ladder. So it's just, there's like a disconnect there. And I personally think that if you have 10 maps in the map pool, I think 8 should be from the ladder. But that's not only on tournament organizers, that's also on the devs to sync that up with them or to have ladder map pool that's not shit. And to be fair, a lot of the ladder map pools have been really bad in the past. Like, I just like 4 vetoes is just not enough. I don't want to play like, you know, what was that map?
Wetlands.
Wetlands and like that weird Kava-san that sucks. It's like, why is that in? Like,
Waterholes, yeah.
yeah, it's like, you know,
I think it's
don't
also
wanna
an
play
issue of the available maps. If you go through the maps, there's only that many good land maps, and let's face it, most people prefer land maps over water maps. There's only that many good land maps available that you can put in. So you got like Dry Arabia, you got Gorge, which I think are the 2 obvious ones. Then Lipany,
Probably
some people
Cliffside
complain
еще,
about the
yeah,
spawns,
yeah.
etc. Cliffside's okay, but if you want to change the map pool, you need to put some rotation in, but you only have that many good land maps. So
I mean, like,
it's tricky.
one of the things that they said is preventing the more maps is because the modded maps are not optimized for team games. But it's like, who cares? Just have a one-on-one ladder map pool. They're different already. Like Coastal Cliffs. Why is that not on the ladder?
Look, I'd sign any waiver. Give me the waiver to sign rights
I
right
don't
now.
get
I'll
it.
sign it.
Because like Avely made that map, right? Coastal Cliffs. To me, it's probably the best or one of the best modded maps. It's so simple, straightforward. and then it's like we don't have it on the ladder. Why? I don't like. We're not sending over nuclear codes. It's just a map. Like, just put it in 1-on-1. What can happen? Like, obviously, I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. I cannot imagine it's that complicated to like just put a modded map in the game. And even if they put a modded map, it takes like a year. And it's like by then, like the meta changes, the game changes, and the map is not viable anymore. So I don't know.
I've never understood that either, because I know in StarCraft 2, I mean, that's what they did. They just added new 1v1 maps straight into the ladder pool that weren't necessarily team available. I don't understand why that doesn't happen in AoE 4. I know it's something, because I know Beasty, they've said that, it's not available for team games. But I've always thought that was just a bad reason.
But the thing is, we have different map pools, which is just like, it's already different. Like, it's not like the map pool is the same. Because if the map pool is the same, you can say, well, it doesn't work for team games, okay. But the map pools are different already. Like,
yep.
What, someone's gonna be like, oh, I want to play Coastal Cliffs in 4v4. It sucks, you can't. Like, what, are they gonna quit the game over it? I don't get it.
It's actually a funny thing. On the map publisher, you can score the maps and rank them out of 5 stars or something. Sometimes I published maps that only work in 1v1, and they always get terrible scores. I think because people download it, started on 8v8, 4v4. The game crashes on launch because the map isn't made for it, and then this map sucks, let's give it 1 star. Whenever it works for all the, like, up to 4v4, then it gets reasonable scores. So I think people do download the maps and want to play them in team games.
So what Magical Cow says is for the custom enjoyers with AI and friends, which Bitterland confirms that he's right. But then why not just restrict?
But that's custom games.
Yeah.
Like, again, what are we talking here? Okay, yeah, it doesn't work in custom games. Like, it already doesn't work. Why can't we make it work in 1-on-1s? Like Avely just said, people are already downloading it. So what's the issue? I don't get it.
And also, I feel like if there's a concern about players trying to play it in teams and not being able to, just make it restricted to only being able to do it on a 1v1 type map, rather than don't even give them the option to do 2v2, 3v3, 4v4.
Yeah, I don't.
Actually, my opinion is the maps should always work in all modes, but they should primarily be balanced for once. If it's unbalanced for 2 versus 2, 4 versus 4, who cares? But I think the map should work on all sizes, just because it's very confusing if you have that map that only works in 2s when all the other normal maps work for all sizes.
So what about this, Avely? I'm curious. Do you do any of your maps to allow 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, like Coastal Cliffs?
They work. All of them except for bridges work on all sizes, I believe.
Then I think it should be added.
And what's the issue?
then I don't know what the issue is then.
Like, this is what I mean. Like, we're not adding like modded civs onto the ladder. We're adding a map. It's again, I don't get it. I think there's a lot of great maps, and I think there would be a lot bigger incentive to make more maps if people knew, like, hey, if I make a map, it could be on the ladder. That's pretty cool, But this is like you're making maps specifically for the tournament that majority of player base will never play. So it's like,
I think one of my maps making it to a tournament is already very cool. It being on the ladder, I think, is like the most appreciative thing you can think of. It'd be very cool. Also for the other map makers, I think they feel the same.
But
to be
honest, guys, yeah. Like, I feel bad a bit for devs. They should make DLC, then should need to make one more DLC, then balance patch, then maps, then new map pool for 1v1, and like, I'm not sure like how big devs amount on AoE4 right now. And to be honest, yeah, it's also backing us to modding content. Like, I don't see a reason why devs cannot contact Avely, say, hello, my friend Avely, like, some others map creators like Karyu. Okay, guys, like, we're giving you tools, even if we don't wanna make it public. Here, tools, please make some stuff. Because, like, no offense to person who make water holes, but you shouldn't, please don't do it again. So yeah, like I feel like it's a result of work, and you need to get community involved into it. No offense, because yeah, it's like hard work, it's a lot of work, and you cannot do all the stuff.
No, 100%. And I know in StarCraft 2, I remember when that's Team Liquid would host a map competition, and I don't remember how many got on it, but I remember there'd be maps that if they won or whatever would be added to the map pool, the ladder map pool in the next season. If you like, I feel like World's Edge or Forgotten Empires or whatever, if they were to host a map competition and make the requirements, make sure they work on all four, team modes and 1v1s, and then say those will get chosen for ladder, the winners, then I think that would be a really cool motivation for map makers to make more maps in general.
I mean, like I'll host the map competition. It doesn't matter. I'll find the pro players to comment on it. I'll do everything. Just put it in the ladder. That's it. I'll do everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
That's
a lot of like pro players would be willing to do this, to join and rate the maps and play on maps will organize the tournament. Just put it in the ladder. Like that's all we're asking. And
Yeah.
if it's required to have X or Y, they'll figure like the map makers will make it 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, and so on. So
yeah, because
I
I
don't
mean
know.
it's what Team Liquid did, or it's what Blizzard did for Team Liquid pretty much. Team Liquid handled it all. They handled the competition, they handled the rating, and then pretty much just told Blizzard these maps won, and then they were added to the map pool. At least that's how I remember it. I'm hoping I'm not remembering that wrong. But
No, that's how it was. They even had GSL maps in StarCraft 2 quite a few times, which was
yeah,
like a Korean tournament, so they were putting sometimes maps from there. So yeah, to be fair, like when I say like when I'm molding about this, I'm not blaming like devs who are balancing civs. Like there's obviously different teams do this. There's obviously a bunch of like crap that you got to deal with, big companies and stuff like that. So it's not like the guy who's didn't nerf Jushi is the guy who's not putting the maps on the ladder. It's not the same team, but like I'm talking like as a Microsoft World's Edge, whoever we want to take a look at, I just don't get it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so-
It's obviously not up to the devs. It's up to the good old management.
I don't know. It's just we're comparing maps from like StarCraft is doing map like integrating the maps way better on the ladder than AoE4 is, and obviously I agree with that. But also, StarCraft has fixed maps, right? Like everything is fixed. So number one, it's easier to adjust to that for StarCraft pros. Number two, there's only 3 races in StarCraft, right? There's how many matchups are there on AoE4 now? Like 120, 105, I don't know. But there's a lot. So I haven't played Moving Out since I think it was Master of Realms. Like the game, people want to say like, oh, you should adjust to this and adjust to that. Like, the Age of Empires 4 strategically and like information wise is already way, 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 way more difficult than StarCraft. Like, just the things you have to know matchup wise, the things you have to know. Just in general, for Age of Empires 4. With StarCraft, it's more like build orders, right? And that's why you don't really have build like as prevalent build orders in Age of Empires 4, especially at the top level, is because you just have to know so many different things in the game. So an argument I hear a lot is that Age of Empires 4 players just need to adapt better to maps and stuff in general. Like, you should be adapting to this kind of stuff, and it's like, okay, but also I'm like trying to like play 100 different matchups at a certain point, right? And the game is also I have to learn new maps, and also things are RNG, like maps are RNG and stuff like that. So it's like this game is already way more, I don't know, strategic in that kind of aspect than StarCraft 2 is ever going to be. So I just find it like kind of strange. And obviously, like, we don't have to compare StarCraft and Age of Empires 4 in that regard. Like, I'm not saying we should be more similar to StarCraft, but the argument shouldn't be like, we always need to push the game to be, players need to be adapting to things 100% of the time. And another argument I think is that when you're consistently making players adapt to the maps more and more and more, the quality of the games is actually decreasing. Like, we're actually getting worse games because you're forcing us to play on new maps consistently. Like, there's so many matchups these days that I just forget how to play. Like, I don't know, maybe you saw in the tournament as well, but like, French Delhi is one matchup that's completely changed with the new meta. And I think a lot of people didn't even get time to adjust how to play that, especially on the Delhi side. Like, Vortex did Pro Scouts and did, like, Spearmen, Knights, and Archers and stuff, and I'm just like, what do I even do now? Like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do as Delhi here. So, I think that's another argument that the map should be, like, heavily taken from the ladder instead of more custom maps, because if it is on the ladder, then I'm going to have more experience with them, just in general.
Well, yeah, that's one of the points to why if we could have a competition to add them to ladder maps, that would solve that issue, right? If we could get every season, for example, if we could get 2 community-made maps, and I'm just spouting out a number, maybe it's 1 or at least 1 or 2, whatever, then that would help alleviate that problem, especially for tournament organizers, because they could add these community maps to the tournaments, knowing they are played on the ladder as well.
Okay, Ivan. I can say that I'm agree with you, but it's super hard. It's tough work, but that's why we are pro players in AO4, because we are superior, because we can do it, because we are making strats, because we are understanding the game better than others. So, I mean, yeah, I know it's hard, but I feel like it's just our job, like none or less.
No, I agree to a certain point, right? I'm not saying that. I think it's a good thing for the age empires to be consistently improving and stuff like that. But like, to a certain point, you are, in my opinion, actually getting worse games because a lot of people just forget how to play certain matchups. And
yeah, I mean,
there's certain people like, oh, what is he doing right now? Like, does he not know like that this and this is exactly how you respond to that? It's like, well, maybe not. Maybe he hasn't played this matchup in like 4 months. Like, seriously.
But maybe I wanna watching it on different point. Like, I feel like if Clem or like if Clem will come to AO4, like no, I will just destroy him for a year, like without any chance for him. I feel like if different pro players will try to go into AO4 right now, they will like catch up really slowly. And I feel like at another RTS, like maybe old Warcraft 3, maybe StarCraft 2, it's a bit easier to start. Like, yeah, it just might be Pega take, but like, I feel like it's easier to just go and get for a high level different RTS. If you just try to farm AO4, man, sorry, but you need a year, even if you get a great RT experience.
And that's probably why StarCraft 2 Pro is not going to switch this game and be successful. There's just way too much.
Yeah. That's why. Yeah, like, I think your point is valid. That like it's just too hard to catch up.
Like, am I worried about any of these guys switching to AO4? No, honestly, I just no. Like, it's just too much to know in this game.
Well, I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Beasty.
We have 240 matchups now, so.
And it's about to increase.
Yeah, it's about to increase. Like, if we have 2-3 more civs, Twitch chat probably knows what that goes up to, but yeah, it is a lot. The thing is, I think that StarCraft is played to, like, perfection, as in you're practicing to execute the same thing, like, as perfectly as possible, right? AoE4, we're not playing on executing everything perfectly as possible. It's more like understanding a civ. And like, I do agree with what means, because until last week of the tournament, I still didn't know how some matchups work. Even after like practicing and stuff. But I think AoE4 is a bit different because it's more like who has the most knowledge about civs. And it's like, maybe you don't know how to play against French as, like, let's say Malian, but if you played against JD, you'll have like a better understanding of how to play against a Night Civ in general. Now, if a player has better understanding of French versus Malian, you're probably going to lose that. But that's kind of where it's not about necessarily who, like, obviously you need to execute it in macro and micro, but it's more about having just the understanding of a civ and like what can be the problem, what you should make, and so on and so forth, which is difficult. It like again, it's 240 matchups, and yeah, you don't play all of them because there are some that you're not gonna meet. Like you're not gonna play, I don't know, like Japanese Abbasid on Dry Arabia. So it becomes less, but it is still a lot of matchups, especially when the meta changes. But that's what I personally like about the game. So
Yeah, and like different maps and matchups can be played different ways. Like Borderland just changing Civ matchups completely, or Himayama or Aravia. You just need to play each maps completely different, usually.
Well, I think we can. Well, I guess I shouldn't say all, but I definitely know that's what I've always enjoyed about Age of Empires was you can't really do just one build order and that's it really. Things change, especially in matchups.
I just want to say I like that about the game as well. I just don't like the fact that sometimes I'm like I feel like I'm never playing like I don't know Byzantine versus Lord of the Dragon on Dry Arabia, for example. And that one time that does come up, I feel I don't know overwhelmed, especially in a tournament. But I agree with you guys. It is like good for the game to be consistently evolving, strategy wise. So that's.
Well, and I think it comes down to also when it comes to like maps. I think I've heard people. It's been a while, but I remember when people would talk about, hey, if we make this map, well, then this civ won't be viable. But I don't think there's ever going to be a map that you can make to where every single civ is viable, especially as we keep increasing. And it's kind of something you have to accept. I think as a map maker and obviously as a player. The goal should be to have as many viable civs as possible, of course, but can only do so many.
100% agree with that take. When I make a map, I think it's not an issue if the map is not viable for 2-3 civs, but if there's only 2-3 viable civs, that's a huge issue. So I think any good competitive map should have a variety of civs available that are valid. And if there's no stone and Mongol sucks or something, it's one map. There's other maps where you can play Mongols on.
Perfect.
Which of course might
buy water maps.
Which might be an issue for putting custom maps into ladder if there's no stone, and then maybe you don't want to upset Mongol players. But in general, I think a map, if 1, 2, 3 civs are not viable at all, it's not an issue, and the other way around is an issue. If there's only certain civs that are viable.
Avely, is it you who made Skargard? Oh, I mean Kirlaugar, the one with water.
AOM made Kalagar.
Oh, okay. I really
No,
like
it's an AOM map.
Okay.
But it's good. It's good. I agree. It's a fun map actually. It's quite interesting.
Like you have some water, you have, but not too much, and you can fight everywhere. Pretty cool one.
Yeah, and then kind of unless I'll give anyone one last chance to talk about bringing up maps or editor, and then we'll move on to kind of the final topic I have.
I wanted to mention one thing with the maps. I think what needs to be better is to get feedback on maps and then continuously improve them. Because I think maps, the game changes over time and the map should adapt. For example, in the first year, I think sacred sites in the corner wasn't really that much of an issue, or markets in the corner. And then the better we got, etc., we started to realize how much of an issue that can be. And so a lot of the maps, I feel like High View would be fine if the sacreds and the market would be moved in the middle. Maybe a lot of people like Wham don't like the stealth forest, but
does anybody like stealth forest like that? Like mass stealth forest like that? You can't see anything. I was playing on Page View the other day. I kind of felt like leaving the game. Like I don't know. It's just like there's maybe one guy. We're keeping the map in for one guy. I think Anotand maybe.
The dude that puts the Chinese landmark in the middle.
Yeah, I love that stealth forest really.
You can just build scout. You
build scout. Okay. Just build tower, man.
Anotand solves issues.
Just find sheep, dude. What do you mean?
Well, I definitely know I'm not a stealth force enjoyer, but
no, it sucks.
I mean, too much. Yeah.
Too much stealth force. Like a little bit, it's cool, but when the map is like 60% stealth forest, next pass.
I mean, I'd say Highview's what, 80%, 85%?
Yeah,
Yeah, at
like
least.
I mean, I know it's an extreme example, but Highview's definitely.
Should
you
mod
know what
Ivy to have
triggers
stealth forests spawn around the TC as well.
you know what triggers me so much on Highview when you make a TC on the deer, but your TC is in the stealth forest and you can't see shit. Like a knight can go in melee, you don't see it, or you're microing archers and you're about to click on like a crossbow and they just disappear, and I'm just like, God, I just can't like. And then you're like move commanding your units instead of aim like attacking something, and then he shoots, reveals himself, but you just shot at the knights, and it's like,
Well, that reminds
yeah.
me, that was a big frustration I had back in the obviously the old, Springald warfare where you'd get shot by Springalds, you'd go shoot them back, and then they disappeared, and you're like, oh well, there goes
Yeah.
that. Oh yeah, that was
You
very
pre-queue
frustrating.
the attacks and then they go off, but you don't see the enemy. Yeah.
Yeah, good times. Good times I don't miss.
What do you guys think about water? Like, just quickly.
I hate it. Want it all gone. But
It
that's an
sucks.
extreme opinion.
It's okay
It
in
just sucks,
moderation.
man.
I feel like it was patched like not so long ago, and they broke Gali versus demo interaction for some reason.
Oh yeah, that's terrible.
Yes,
now
the
you-
micro sucks now. I don't know what's up with it.
And
but
now Gali just like you cannot beat demo at all. But okay.
just give us every tournament 4 lakes, Holy Island, and leave the rest of the water out. We're cool.
I find the problem in like unique maps, and I count water maps into unique maps because it's a water map, right? The reason I like them is because they're different, right? So it's like new gameplay, new strats. The reason I heavily dislike them, and Anotand and Whammy probably noticed this, you start a new map and it has some water in it. You're like, ooh, I'm gonna try HRE. Ooh, that's cool. I'm gonna try China. I'll try this. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, okay, he picks HRE. If I don't pick this, I'm dead because nothing else is gonna work. And a lot of the unique maps have that. King of the Hill has that. Four Lakes has that. Moving Out has that. And some civs just have massive advantages. And I don't like the fact that they're locking the draft for you. So, like, if the opponent picks, let's say, OTD, if I don't pick Japanese, I'm probably going to lose on that map. So now I'm forced to pick Japanese, and he knows I'm going to play it on that map. So then there's no strategy. So that's the part I really dislike about these unique maps, because it's like, you need to take certain things or you're screwed. But sometimes those civs are so bad on the other maps, you don't want to veto them necessarily, because then you lose like a good veto. So, and I feel like this doesn't happen with like, a bald land. It doesn't happen with unique land maps. It just happens with maps that have water, or like maybe King of the Hill. That's like super unique, even though. So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's another aspect of water maps that suck, obviously. Especially, I mean, casuals or viewers don't. I mean, I think viewers do care that they see the same civs on the maps every once in a while, but I don't know. It's not something that people say a lot. But you're gonna see like Japan OTD on Lakeside every single game, and then moving out it's gonna be, I don't know, the same civs. It's kind of boring, to be honest.
I mean, remember Holy Island with Rus? I was
Yeah.
like, okay, he picked Rus. I just lose. Like, nothing I can do. I'll just be at a heavy disadvantage, and that's it. So, then people vetoed it, and then it's like, okay, HRE versus China every game, because nothing else is really that great. So, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it goes back again to the point where you don't want maps where only 2-3 civs are viable.
Yeah, I think those maps are terrible. Like, because of that. I actually think like there's some old maps that I would like to see come back. I think we should give some old maps a try again.
Like
Like
Forest.
for example, not quite. Like Prairie, or there was another map that I just lost. But like Prairie used to be like only HRE, nothing else is viable, right? It's like whoever gets HRE won, and then people figure out Mali and then Mongol. But I feel like you can play quite a few civs there now. Like you can play Ayubid, you can potentially even play Japanese, you can play Mongol. I've seen people play Byzantine there because there's not a lot of you don't need to go out on the map and stuff like that. So some of the old maps can be cool, but like also mountain clearing, if you guys remember, it was just like HRE English every single game.
Mm-hmm.
So like sometimes I feel that maybe we just don't need to crank out new maps. It's like maybe we can make mountain clearing a bit bigger so that other civs can be played there too. So you kind of maintain the same idea behind the map.
Yeah, I mean for sure. Like we have so many maps that we just don't use. I think Basin. We for some reason we just stopped playing that map entirely. Dry River we played on Golden Week 2 and they just gave that up for. Like when was the last time we played Dry River? Was that a bad map? I mean, it wasn't. I've said
I
this
liked
multiple
it.
times. It wasn't the best map of all time, but it was fine, right?
Driver, yeah, was fine.
Like there's so
Rocky
many
Canyon
maps
as
that we just
well.
don't play.
Yeah.
Rocky, well, I don't know. Isn't
Although,
that the map with like so much deer? Like Dry River, Rocky Canyon.
I think we should have 1-2 more macro maps. I feel the tournaments now are either crazy maps, water maps, or very open land maps. There's not so many. I think the only macro map we have is maybe Hillendale, to some degree.
I agree with you, but
I
just
wouldn't
want
want
to
to put
say,
Altai in again.
I just want to say, like Woodwall is not like a macro map. That's just like a cheese map. Like that's
yeah.
okay.
Like I had some like some ideas regarding some of the old maps because I was looking like at some point you can't reinvent the maps like 24/7, right? There's a limit. So like I'll give you a couple of examples like how I would personally change the maps, but again, then you have modded maps, so then the devs would need to do this too, right? But mountain clearing, I think if you genuinely push the players a bit further back and then reduce the rock area, then you have like kind of like coastal cliff where it's like the map size is reduced, but you're kind of closer to each other than on coastal cliffs. So you get a different type of map. Or Oasis. Why don't we just have Oasis with like a small path towards the middle? Like just there's an empty space you can just walk through because we don't have chop through anymore. Because right now that map is completely useless. So it's like, why don't we try to do something with it? Or I don't know, you can do like the pit, except like fix the middle part somehow. Like make it so that there's space to walk between the sacred sites and not like this whole camp fiesta. And then move the markets towards the middle. And then you have a same map, but it's completely different in how like it plays out. Like Frisian marches, again, you can remove like corner markets, and maybe you can make it so that the wood lines don't always spawn the same, reduce the amount of food, and then you can try and play that again, right? You don't need to have a whole new idea every single time. Sometimes we can just work on the maps we have. So
Yeah, 100% agree. I think a lot of maps would benefit from small tweaks. Like you said, Frisian Marshes. I think maybe the corner market, one single in the middle opposite side. Few
yeah,
less
where
sheep.
the big goals are, like in between there.
Exactly.
And then if you reduce the amount of food, because that's the biggest issue with Frisian marches, I think. It's like the trade, and then just the absurd amount of food that there is.
The
And
sheep,
that
right?
the wood lines, yeah, and then the wood lines are always in the back, which is like, well, what if they're just spawned randomly like other maps? Why are they in the corner in the first place? So, yeah.
yeah, I wish the devs would change the corner maps on all the or on all the, at least the main ladder maps. I can't imagine it being that hard to make that change, but I feel like that'd be one of the easier fixes. Let's see. Last thing I had to talk about was, we have 2 months until the next EGC event. I know Beasty and Whammon are hosting I don't remember what the tournament's called, but I know it's a pick your own, you only get one civ.
One Trick Pony Clash.
There
I think
we
that's
go.
the full name with the last name as well.
And then that leaves, so we have that tournament coming up, which that starts next weekend, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Okay, so yeah, that starts next week, and I think the week after that we're gonna have, so that's $1,000 tournament, and we're gonna have another $1,000 tournament with only ladder maps.
And
I'm 90% sure that's happening. I might be wrong, but I think it's just gonna be like a weekend tournament with only ladder maps because I discussed this with Marika and I just told her like I think if there's any time to do ladder map tournament, it's probably now because the ladder maps are actually like most like I would say it's the best ladder map pool that we've had in terms of like we don't have wetlands, or like some ridiculous like haywire. So, yeah.
And okay, so that's 2 tournaments coming up, and then I know we have the Garrison, the land tournament, which I know Miss Anotand, are you going to that? I can't remember.
Me, no.
Okay, so I think in here I think BC are the only one. I think Avely failed to qualify, though I don't know if he's still gonna go. Are you
I'm
still...
gonna qualify on site and I'm gonna win that thing.
Okay.
Yo, chill, chill.
Because okay, so we have 2 tournaments coming up from Beasty and Whammon, and then we have the Garrison, and then otherwise, are you planning hosting any others after the Garrison, Beasty?
Most likely. So like we're obviously involved with Steel Series and stuff, so they want to do more tournaments. We kind of had different plans for this year, but then they said they wanted to do land, so we're doing that in July. We're doing a land in Denmark. So we're going to be doing that, and that's kind of the next, I would say, big project. We initially, I'll spoil it, we initially wanted to do Hidden Cup, but when Steel Series kind of was, said like maybe we should do a LAN, and we were like, yeah, that sounds good. So that should be a lot of fun. And then going into second part of the year, yeah, there's probably going to be more tournaments, but nothing announced right now.
Yeah, I figured that's not going to come till later. I was more thinking in terms of the next 2 months. So we've got 3, potentially more, depending on what happens in March. Because otherwise, the next EGC one is until mid-April, if I recall. So that's feels like there's a bit of a break. So guessing you guys have any plans other than playing the smaller tournaments? Or just taking it easy? I'm assuming no hard practicing.
Yeah, if there's a time to take a break, it would be now, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing. Just doing other stuff in the meantime. Yeah. It's nice to have a break, I guess. But, obviously I want tournaments, but you can't always have tournaments, so... Yeah.
I'm glad that we have like some action, because in previous year it was like only from EGC to EGC tournament. Right now we have a lot of stuff. For example, right now I will play whole week with JD or One Trick Pony. Then also I will play Keep MM, and like with these steps I will slowly like keep my form till next EGC event. Also, it's cool that Steel Series now making a big, really great tournament with 25k. It's like will be some maybe even competition between Steel Series and EGC. We'll see. Yeah, it will be cool.
I'm gonna same like Anotand. I'm just gonna play whatever tournaments are there. I'm not gonna practice like customs or off of stream. I'm just gonna kind of try to maintain the level, because I feel like if I take a break, then it's like it takes too long to go back up again, So I'd rather just continue playing than reset myself basically. But you're lucky you play JD all week. I have to play Avely all week. So I'm not looking.
Maybe you'll discover that it's OP. Like, who knows?
What did you get, Worm?
It will be hidden game.
I got Byzantines. That's
Yeah,
pretty
we
cool.
got
He's
no
happy
percent.
about that.
Pretty nice, no?
Dude, at the end, it was Poppy Paw picking OTD and Avely. I was like, please pick up, please. Because I played OTD a lot. So, like, I genuinely think, like, OTD is a really good civ, and I was a bit surprised he got there till the end. And I was like, please pick Avely. And he's like, I'll pick Order of the Dragons.
I did see that.
I was surprised that Vortex picked English over OTD. I feel like OTD a bit better. Maybe I am wrong.
He played it quite a bit in practice too, so it kind of surprised me too. But
are you all?
And it's good on water maps too,
Yeah.
So is OT not as bad on land maps then? Is it because of Pro Scouts?
Mm-hmm.
Plus Burgrave feels kinda like a great tempo. And sometimes you cannot just win fight versus OTD. Like you think that you have a fine military limit, then you died. And you don't have opportunity to remass. So versus OTD, you always need to like take fights carefully.
Their crossbows are crazy.
Yeah.
They
Uh,
kill like horsemen and knights and everything.
So
They
are
didn't
you,
get nerfed, did they? Or changed?
I think they got changed the same as the others, right? Probably got added bonus, lower base, right?
Yeah.
Are you
Still,
three
they
gonna
do a
still
lot.
play the KP tournaments every week while waiting for EGC?
I
I
mean,
plan to. I mean, might as well. It's not like I have my ATR to worry about, so.
I'm playing this week. Actually, I need to check if I can play with my next opponent after this, because I think me or Micah forfeited the match. So, I mean, it depends, because I am like 15 points away from rank 1 on ATR. So if I win this one, I'll get rank 1, and then it's like having a high seed in a tournament is an advantage.
but
Just
I
straight up.
feel you guys like giving too much credit to ATR. Like for now, why do
I
you
mean,
need
you
ATR?
say that. You say that.
Why do
but
you need
look at-
ATR? You don't need
Look at
ATR.
Marie Lord's group.
But I mean, EGC now will have like winter points or so, so like ATR will be useless for half of the year, no?
Nah, it won't
What do you
matter.
mean? It will matter. Like, I
Really?
mean,
I'm not sure.
look at for example B, right? Do you think he's top
Mhm.
16 player?
No.
He lost
Maybe.
because he had bad ATR.
Maybe
he
like
had
top
better
15
ATR.
player.
Right. So, I mean, it matters. It's like whether you're ranked 1 or 2, it's not going to make a huge difference. But there's
But yeah,
also the case
but
of like,
my hot take that it will be GC points, not ATR points. Like the list handbook with like EMC points. Yeah.
no, I don't.
But not for next tournament, though. Next tournament's gonna be ATR, surely. Maybe at the end of the year, they're gonna do that
Not
with
sure about
the
it,
points.
but okay.
Yeah,
Be
so
kind of
I think
strange.
I think KP weeklies are really good for the scene. Like, I think part of the reason why so many players got good, like Anotand, for example, right? He was like a top 73 player, right? And now he's like
Yeah.
a top 15 player. So I think a lot of that comes to like playing in KP weeklies and like not only practicing every week, but like getting used to tournaments. You know, like getting used to drafting and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty cool. But if there's like some weird maps, I'm probably out. Like I don't want to play like some like haywire.
But I
Pass on
think
that.
I will play everything because like I'm back to back champion of KPMM. I have to defend
Well,
my
not
title.
not after
You need to
this
catch
week,
up.
but yeah.
You need to catch up to Poppypaw, Anton. I think he's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
got the crown.
Yeah, he gave me a bit of time.
Well, he's not signing up, right? So if he was, that
But yeah, it will be
Oh.
distraction. Like,
Maybe
it's
I'll
too
just
good.
play to win the rest of them, just to tell Anotand like I'm back to back to back to back to back to back.
That's a lot of work, my friend.
How many
Well,
is there left? Quite a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be
It's
for
not even
36.
half.
Yeah, I was like, it's supposed to be for 36 weeks if I recall, or something in the 30s. So it couldn't have been that. So there should be a ton left. I mean, that's almost a year's worth right there. If it's like 32 weeks or whatever it is, that's over half a year's worth of. That's over half a year.
Mhm.
Do you guys like the fact that if DLC is coming in April, the S tier is 2 weeks after it?
As a viewer, yes. As a player,
Oh yeah, as a viewer,
yeah,
sure.
as a viewer, I'm a big fan of it. But in your guys' shoes, that's got to be rough.
It would be nice, and this is like something I have no idea about, but it would be nice if we had access to this beforehand, like with, I don't know, Red Bull, for example, just to kind of get a little bit of that extra practice, because, I mean, honestly, I think myself, I wouldn't do that bad with 2 weeks of practice, but, like, it would be nice to have some more practice.
But I mean, there is
Beforehand.
also reverse coins that, like, for example, top 20 player, if he will get access
Yeah.
for a DLC or not. And if not, that he had the massive disadvantage. So,
Well, maybe the
I don't know,
qualifiers
it's
should
hard.
be beforehand then, like with
Oh,
Red
yeah,
Bull, right?
maybe,
Because
yeah,
the
maybe,
only
yeah.
people who had access were the people who qualified.
Yeah, I agree
But
with that.
Well, I think there's a good chance that they're gonna. Well, I assume. I obviously don't know anything, but I would assume that they're gonna allow players to play the expansion early or a little beta thing, kind of like they did with the last expansion. I don't remember. I don't
Wasn't
remember
there
how
like
long
a
that was.
week? Wasn't
Yeah,
there like a week
I want to say it was at
or two
least a
weeks?
week, and that
Yeah,
was.
like the streamer client thing, and you couldn't find people to do it.
Yeah, yeah. That's the. Yep, that's exactly. But if there's that tournament coming on, right? I imagine all the pros who want to play will practice on the client until it goes offline. Would be my assumption. I mean, it's a lot of. Well, I mean, I'm assuming there's going to be a good amount of new content where a week isn't going to be enough to, master it or anything. But I guess we'll find out soon. I'm hoping we get news on the DLC in 3 weeks. That's my guess.
I mean,
Can I see another screenshot?
it should be like fast, right? Like fast. It should be like within the next 2 weeks. If DLC is coming in April, they gotta give us like a month before at least.
Yeah, and they also got to open up pre-orders too.
True, we gotta get that cash.
Yeah, and we need the epic trailer with like how it was
Oh.
with Mechter's like bam, bam, bam.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm really looking forward to getting some.
I
info.
forgot. Do we have epic trailer for Visit in Japanese or not? I don't remember.
We had screenshots, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
We did.
Wait, did we have a trailer?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I can't remember the trailer, but I know they updated a new Civ on their website every like I don't know if you remember, but it was every once a week or something. They were adding information on the new variant Civs or the new Civs.
Yeah.
So
There was like
Oh, yeah.
screenshots on Steam. I remember like trying to decipher those.
yes,
Dude, that screenshot they posted for this one, I was like, bro, just tell me what it is. Like, what the?
Remember OOTD? Thinking we get customizable units and unit skins?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
dude,
true. Yeah, people thought it was reskins.
Be fun revisiting what we thought back then.
Yeah, sure. There's plenty of.
Did
videos
you
on
see that in the screenshot, the Civ does not use lumber camp or mining camp?
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, it shows a very chopped wood line with no lumber camp on it. And I don't know if you
Atlantean.
guys played the modded Civs, but there was a Civ, I think it was Poland, with no drop-off buildings, and it was broken as hell.
But
So
AoE 2
To
and
be honest-
AoE 3 have that. AoE 2 Civ also has a Civ where there's no drop off for like farms.
Oh,
to be honest,
Age of
Beasty, I
Mythology,
watched Golden 3 game and like they not putting lumber camps with old Civs, so maybe someone just forgot to put lumber camp for screenshot. Who knows?
listen. The last time they did the DLC, right? Like with the Japanese houses, I predicted that the houses are also farms because there was
yeah,
like
okay.
a farm or two next to a house, right?
mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's like accident. I think they do it on purpose. Like also there was like a Byzantine fire, like Greek fire, stuff like that, which also came into the game, even though it kind of sucks. But I don't know. They're
Yeah,
cooking something.
yeah. No, I'm really hoping we get some info soon. I need something to get teased by. But I mean, like you said, it can't be that much longer. April is only a month and a half away.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it has to be like soon. If that's the date, then they gotta kind of do something.
I changed my answer. I said 3 weeks. I agree with you. 2 weeks. That's my new answer.
2 weeks tops, and then I'm quitting.
Perfect.
Oh stop! We really getting DLC in like month and a half? Really?
That's
Yeah.
what I think. Yeah.
That's when the season ends. Season ends on, if I'm not mistaken, March 31st.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they moved the EGC tournament to mid-April. Like
In my head, it was like 4 months still, like just chilling. But
Oh,
wow.
bro.
No, it's
happening.
yeah, it's coming soon. Or
I'm confirming it right here.
yeah,
Vam, you can't go for like break. Like few weeks and you'll get DLC.
Right.
Yeah, Anatand's gonna lose in like 6 more KPMMs, and then it's DLC time. So.
Yeah, I mean I will just get more experience. Yeah, on keeping.
yeah, that'll be very exciting when it happens. Anything else anyone wants to talk about real quick? If not, I think I've gone over all my talking points I have. And so I'll give it out to the outro. Each player, each of you can say whatever you wish. We'll start with you, Beasty.
Thanks for inviting. Appreciate it. It was fun. It's always fun to hear different opinions and have a proper discussion about things. Hopefully the devs listen to some of the things we said, and that's it. I'm excited for DLC. Excited to see what it's like. Excited to play the. I don't know if you guys saw the screenshot with the editing mods with all the new units and stuff. That was interesting on Reddit. So, yeah, just excited for the DLC and can't wait to try out the new Sims.
Yeah, I'm hoping the devs take some of our feedback too, if they can, assuming management lets them. All right, Avely, final words.
Yeah, thanks for hosting. Thanks for having me. Even though obviously I'm not as good as the other guys. And for DLC, just give me co-op. Just give me co-op. I want co-op.
It's okay. I'm not anywhere near as good as anyone here right now anyway. All right, Anotand, final words.
Okay, I'm just excited about our future. Like, if I would say this like 1 year ago, everyone would laugh at me. But for now, look at us. Not one, but 2 DLC, tournaments, LAN. Here we go. Let's go, AF4.
I mean, to be fair, I do
That's
think
all.
this year's looking better tournament-wise than last year, it feels. But
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like I still a bit sad because last year Beasty wrote and said a couple of times, it will be best year of AF4. It will be a huge year. Tournament-wise for
No,
AF4.
I said that for DLC. And
Oh.
it was 6. What do you mean? It was big.
The most, yes, the best selling DLC. Yeah.
The
But-
the first two DLCs had two civs and
Yeah.
or the.
But so
previous,
yeah, I was a bit
DLCs.
upset and like I learned like tournament amount was decreasing, like price pool was decreasing, but now like we're stable, we are growing, and like we need to build our beloved game together and continue to do it.
Yeah, thanks for hosting, bud. It's always good to talk to you. And yeah, excited for the future of the game. I mean, we didn't get a DLC in 2024, right? So, and the game has been doing pretty well, even now, right? It's been increasing in player base going up to the DLC, so that's exciting. Tournaments are exciting. I think Steel Series, obviously with what Beastie is doing, but Steel Series as well is really cool to see them do a bunch of stuff. Obviously EGC and all of them, and Rising Empires. So, looking forward to it.
all right, well, I'd like to thank you all for joining, and I promise the next one will not be 2 or 3 months away. I will plan on hosting more of these more frequently. Trying to do once a month, but we'll see. Depends when the next new exciting information comes out and things to discuss. So, thanks everyone for coming, and yeah, I'll talk to you all later.
Yep.
See ya.
Take care,
Bye
man.
bye.